Okay, I think we're now live. God damn, that took ages to get set up. Um, Thank you for joining. If you are joining today, much appreciated. I am going to talk relatively low tonight because late. I didn't realize how late it was, but it's getting there. It's getting pretty late. That's all right. If you are joining, thank you for joining. And we're streaming on Twitch as well, I think now, because I decided to give it a go after a long time of not doing it. So I thought I'd go ahead and give it a go. Am I hearing myself? Yeah, it is. It is doing its thing. That's good. So tonight we're going to do some character creation, more character creation. And we're going to, if anyone on Patreon does happen to want to share their work and get feedback, I'm happy to do that too. Doing well. Thank you for joining. I gotta sign in. In order to respond, I gotta sign in with text. Hold on. I'm so ill prepared tonight. It's ridiculous. Hello, Venom. Welcome again. We got some repeating visitors, so that's cool. So awesome. Thank you for joining. I have no idea who will be chatting to who, because I Twitch is its own thing, has its own chat. So if anyone is chatting on there, I don't know. So we'll see. Oh god, what a mess. It's all good. So let's just get started and jump into creating some cool stuff. How's that sound? All right. I'm just going to post this up on the Patreon's channel as well, so people can actually submit if they want to submit any work, of course. All right. I thought you only do cute characters. In this one, we're doing more out there characters with this one. I don't just do cute characters. I do fun characters. I do all kinds of characters normally. So yeah, we're gonna do something a bit more. We're doing something a bit more out there today. All right, cool. So I think everything's going well. I think everything's up and running. I'm just gonna post this onto Discord, and then we're good to go. I should be doing this before I start streaming, but I'm pretty horrible at this shit sometimes. So yeah, so I thought I would go ahead and let's just share that first. All right, cool. Now everyone has a link. That's great. Okay, cool. If anyone doesn't, then I don't know what to do. All right, cool. So we are working on this character, and last week we got up to doing the fingers, and I'm trying to figure out whether I want to replicate that, like redo it, like across all the. I guess I'll just have to do it manually. But after we've done that, we can start to do some of the cool stuff, like we can start to think about what kind of clothes to give this guy. I want to do his hair as well. If you notice, he doesn't have eyes because he's going to be wearing a mask of sorts, and I'm not sure if I need to bother with that sort of thing. I probably will add eyeballs, but I definitely won't be adding anything fancy like a full-on mouth or anything like that, I don't think. But, who knows? I might be talking out of my ass and I might end up doing it anyway, so we'll see what happens, I suppose. Let me just go to my stream manager and see if anyone else is chatting away. I have no idea. I don't think anyone is. So yeah, cool. Nice. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting this done. Yeah, the girly stuff, I do it because it does. Yeah, you missed last week. So yeah, I've been doing this for a few weeks, honestly, to be fair. But it's getting more fun being able to do this with you guys, to be fair. So again, if you're on Patreon and you have joined Patreon and you want to get some feedback live online, and you have something to show, you can join up to Patreon, pay $1, and jump on the Discord and share your work. And on those days that I do get that sort of stuff, then I'll be able to, you know, sort of break away from this and then help out with any sort of feedback you're looking for on your work. That was the idea of this, of returning to the streams, to be fair, is that I would actually support my patrons a little bit more. But yeah, it's all good. All right, so I'm going to pull away over here and just sort of look at how I'm fixing up these fingers. And thank you for joining, Samer. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. So this one might be a little bit short. I don't know, maybe an hour. We'll see how we go. If it's if I can manage it or swing it. Yeah, normally I start at 10:30 p.m. Australian time, but yeah, things were a little bit more harder to start on tonight because I was putting my daughter to bed. So yeah, we had that going on. It wasn't a problem, it was just, yeah, one of those days. All right, cool. So yeah, we've got this finger. I think it's good enough for what I need, and I want to sort of replicate this sort of style across to my other areas. And of course, if you have, oh, fuck off. Sorry, I'm just talking to Siri. It keeps bringing up this stupid pop-up. If you have any questions you want to ask away, do so, because I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, girly fun characters are always fun to do. I've got to admit, it's always fun and easy to do. So doing this sort of stuff can be a bit more of a challenge because you're imbuing a lot more, I guess you can say, personality into it, and it's really hard to make appealing, crappy, like, you know, ugly looking characters. That makes sense, I find, at least making interesting ones. So yeah, what I'm doing is basically working through the fingers, just sort of smoothing out, and then I'll add detail on top. So, and also making sure that the proportions are correct across each finger. So I might need to elongate this one. This one's looking a little bit stubby. So if you look down on top, yeah, he's looking a little too short. So I'm gonna go ahead and just elongate that. And I don't want to elongate all the fingers, of course. So I'm gonna turn on my masking. So I want to turn on face sets boundary and face sets for auto masking. And that should be, yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Well, the fingers in the face are basically the hardest part of any character, I reckon, to be fair. So yeah, and they always take the most amount of work as well, I find. Okay, that looks a bit better. So what I'm gonna do is just add a little bit more volume over here. And then smooth that out. You can see here, I'm not using any additional topology. I'm not adding any new Dyntopo topology. I'm just working with what's existing because there's still plenty of density there. And if I need to, I'll add more. So let's just block out these areas. I just want to smooth out all this stuff first, and then I'll worry about the detail after the fact. So you see, I do tend to like sort of switch between different viewports just because I get a better perspective of, you know, what I'm doing. And I'm hoping that this guy becomes pretty fun to, you know, animate and sort of bring to life, because I really want to put a lot of character into this guy. Because, and again, this character ain't gonna last long in the film. He's a one-shot guy. So yeah, when you have like characters that only gonna show up for like a few minutes and never again, it's kind of cool because you can really put a lot of like character into one moment of these things. Yeah, definitely starting to feel a lot more like ZBrush in a way, but you know, the only thing it still hasn't got half the things that ZBrush can pull off in terms of feature set. But for the average sculptor, I don't think it's all that necessary, to be fair. If you're just doing this for fun, definitely don't need to worry about the ZBrush or paying the money for it. All right, cool. So that's looking a lot better. You can see here that I want to add a little bit of that uptick as well in the edge of the finger here. May as well do that there as well. Cool. And you can see, like, just those little changes It's already starting to feel a lot better in the hand. And you might be wondering why his fingers are like sort of flat. It's because with the Rococo suit, when you have a default rig, the fingers are really flat like that. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. So I want to try and replicate that, because rigging it, or motion transferring the motion capture, when I do eventually do that, will become a lot more easier to pull off. And I'm trying to build a custom rig to make that easy process as well. Yeah, Blender is, yeah. And oh, welcome to the chat. Okay, Mark, appreciate it. And Comic Sans, yes, on Twitch. Thank you for joining. Yeah, that's cool. It's good to see that someone's watching on Twitch as well. I had no idea that I would still, every now and then I still get people following me on Twitch. It's been over a year that I've streamed on Twitch, and I still get followers. So it's kind of cool to see. So yeah, I'm hoping to at least do this once a week from now on again, and then sort of intersperse that with my regular content. Yeah, definitely more at least like more dynamic dense meshes. Like when you add and remove geometry, it gets pretty chuggy when you dynamically add geometry. But if you're doing like super high fidelity sculpts as well, yeah, you just need that extra geometry. You won't be able to pull that stuff, the same sort of stuff off you can do in ZBrush by any means. Not yet, at least. I don't know if you can still hear my cat's meowing. That used to be a problem back in the day too. It still happens. Okay. It's yeah. The orange one is the most annoying cat you'll ever meet. By a mile. By a mile. All right, cool. I think we've got enough geometry there. If you try this on my tweet, well, if you don't have dynamic topology, you might be able to get away with it. I'll be honest. You might be able to get away with it. All right, cool. I think that's good enough. I'm going to turn off the mask for now. And just start to smooth these out a little bit. Is it not working on Twitch? It should be. If it's not working, then I don't know why it's not working. Oh shit, it's audio only on Twitch. Oh shit, I have no idea. That's not meant to be the case. Let me just check. If not, just jump on YouTube. Honestly, this is the first time. I guess it's probably because I haven't properly linked up Twitch. Then I have to relink it. Jump onto YouTube. It works there. Easy peasy. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the stream going. I'm not gonna stop it now, but yeah, if it's not working, it's not working. I'll have to check the settings or something like that. All right, cool. So yeah, sorry for those on Twitch. If you're just listening to what I'm saying and it's not working, jump on YouTube. It's there. Tazov says, hello, I'm quite new at 3D and about 2.5 months of learning, practicing. So I'm following your 3D character modeling for animation. Yeah. Well, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. I love prototyping in Rodin by creating a base mesh and then adding details in ZBrush. I haven't heard of Rodin before. How long does it take you to learn how to sculpt and build with a beautiful proportions face? For me, it took me, like, the first time I was doing proper, like, I was following tutorials as well, mind you. It took me, like, I think it took me a few months, like at least several weeks to do my first character after uni again, like with better workflow. And then after that, it starts getting faster and faster as you get used to it. So yeah, just have patience and you'll get there, trust me. All right, cool. That will do for now. And now let's add the little creases in the hands. And again, I don't really need, I always tell these guys the same thing to you guys, but I tend to not care so much when I'm working on my own stuff to be like ultra, like I'm not going to do all the detail here because I have to retopo it, and I find it kind of redundant unless I'm planning on like doing high fidelity stuff to go crazy with details and stuff like that. But that looks pretty good. Let's add some knuckles and then refine those, and then we're good to go to the I might try and do the hair actually. Okay, I got a few things to do. Wanted to say that I've been sharing your videos with work colleagues. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing it, and I'm glad it's worked out for your mate too. That's awesome. Yeah, any help I can pull off is always a win in my eyes. Helping people like sort of get across and yeah, not want to pull their hair out when they're doing this sort of 3D stuff for the first time. Hey, if it works for you, if it's an AI thing and it works for you and it helps you get, you know, your ideas out and then sort of get to the fun stuff, then who cares at this point? I mean, the whole world's crumbling. There's no point in sort of protesting this shit anymore. More important things to fry, more important fish to fry. All right, cool. It's like, again, I'm keeping it pretty loose. All right, cool. Kind of looks like clay-like, but it works. You know what I mean? And I might soften that transition a little bit into the knuckles, into the fingers. Sorry, get that going in there a little bit more. That's looking pretty cool. So what I tend to do is I add detail, then I soften it. All right, let's add a bit of knuckle there, a little bit of knuckle there. And I am using a tablet, mind you, if you didn't notice already. I am using on the tablet. I'm still using the same one I used that I've shown in my reviews. So I'm using the XP Pen Artist Pro at the moment, Generation 2. All right, cool. Oh, cool. Comic Sans, yes, you're okay, Mart over there. Sweet. It's good to know that you're you got it. Sweet. All right, so hold on. I'm just gonna make sure everything's looking good on my end when I look at my viewport. So that's looking good. So yeah, I'm just gonna add the nails, and then I think we can move on. I'm not gonna do the toes or anything like that on the shoes because he's gonna wear shoes, and I don't want him to get I don't want to get bogged down in the details too much, because ultimately he's gonna be wearing clothes as well. So I'm not even gonna have to retopo his whole body, I don't think. So let's grab. So there's different methods on how to do fingernails. A lot of people like to sort of add a separate piece. Other people like to do a fancy extrusion, that sort of thing. Me, I'm too lazy in this case. I'm just going to just sculpt it just straight up as a crease. Just like this. That'll do. You can see here that I'm starting to chug a little bit, even on my computer, as it adds all that dye and topo there. And it's also mirroring it, by the way, so you got to keep that in mind too. I hate doing nails. It always botches up my my nice little fingertip. All right, cool. And I think that's good for that finger at least. I wouldn't want to go any further. Yeah, something like that's pretty cool. I hope that people appreciate the human pipeline, not just the generate button. Yeah, for sure. Well, there's all kinds of ways you can sort of make that happen. Now, to answer your question about, do you think you need a good level of drawing and anatomy knowledge to draw sculpts like this? Not really. I don't think so. I mean, it depends on how realistic you want to go. If you want to just do fun, cartoony characters, this guy's by no means realistic, then you don't need to know decent anatomy. I'd say you're better off understanding proportion over anatomy specifically to make appealing characters. So understanding decent proportion, on the other hand, is much more important than getting all the muscles right and shit, in my opinion. Unless, of course, you are aiming to do that sort of high fidelity VFX level, realism. Otherwise, it's just, there's no point. I would say having in a similar vein, a decent understanding of design will also help in that regard when it comes to sort of designing appealing characters. So understanding like sort of shape and form, and then on top of that, proportion will probably get you a lot further in becoming a better character artist than understanding all the nitty gritty of anatomy. Again, with the exception of if you plan on doing VFX level character design. Hope that answers your question. So it's circumstantial, basically. Yeah, it does. Like, just diving into it, like, it forces you to learn to understand it, learn to understand that proportion, and the importance of proportion, and how, like, sort of visually, like, sort of works, and how to fake it, of course, how to like stretch it and play with it as well to make crazy characters like this guy, who by no means is a realistic proportion set, like, but it sort of balances, it sort of looks balanced, if that makes sense. I try to make it look balanced, but also a bit uneasy. From what I've learned, it made me think of things more in a 3D way. Yeah. Even now, like when I draw my 2D drawings, I draw in a much more graphic sort of style. So it's really hard to translate that style into 3D, in my opinion. You can see that in the short film as well. Like the short film, the goal is to be as sort of, I know it's silly, to make a 3D character look as graphically flat as possible without having to make it orthographic. So I got a few ideas in my mind about how I'm going to achieve that with these characters, because these guys have a lot more volume, actually, a lot more volume. So how do I make it look flatter when these characters have such crazy volumes? That's the challenge, right? That's the fun part. Oh, thank you. All right, so we're almost done with these fingers, and I think I have enough to move on to. So I'm gonna just quickly get that fingertip down. Now I don't even know if I'm gonna actually integrate the fingertip into the retopo, but given that he's such a bulky character, I think I might. I think that's looking pretty cool. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. Have you ever used AutoRig Pro or Armature with Rococo? I have used AutoRig Pro. I have funny feelings about AutoRig Pro. I like it, but I find it to be temperamental. I don't know, so maybe it's just the way I construct the rigs, but it's also just the way that like certain things are organized and all that sort of stuff. But it does work well with mocap. It does work really well with the Rococo suit when you retarget. Ultimately, though, the only thing that works best when you are, in my opinion, when I'm retargeting characters from Rococo, is building a custom rig. In my opinion, build a custom rig that matches the Rococo default pose, and it works a lot better, and with the same orientations as well. So if the joints have the same orientation to match Rococo, then it retargets like 10 times better, and you don't get any weird, like, crazy rotations in the retarget either, which is also really nice. What are the thoughts behind this character, or is he just a big fat guy? There are thoughts. The idea is that he's meant to be a brute, for one. He's a brute character. He's meant to be able to carry heavy shit. He's also a sort of, he's the right hand man of someone. He's the right hand man of someone. So he's almost like a bodyguard as well. So a bodyguard, a brute, and can carry heavy shit. So think, heavy guns, or heavy machinery, heavy weaponry, and hopefully I'll be able to accentuate that in the animation when the time comes. So yeah, really hoping to do that. Oh, he's gonna just carry it like just over his shoulder. You just like lift it up like and flip it basically. All right, cool. And in terms of his style, in terms of what he will look like, he's meant to look a bit like ratty. Put it that way. He's meant to look a little bit, yeah, just a little bit grotty. He will look grotty. Put it that way. All right, cool. I think I am good to move on. I think I'm happy with that. Might add a little bit more volume there. And now I think that's good enough. I think he's going to have he has a nice chunky hands. It matches his body physique, and you can see his little head, so that's kind of cool. Let's do his eyes. May as well do his eyes and move on there. Yeah, the idea, you got the idea right. Machine gun. Think of machine gun, and then jiggles. Let's see if you can get him to jiggle a little bit when he's like using the Gatling gun or something like that. That's kind of the goal for me, is like really get some crazy animation going on there. How long flowing locks, or will he have flowing locks or be bald? He will have a mullet. That's the idea. He always had a mullet in my head. He's going to have a mullet in this as well. So half flowing locks and then short on top. Oh, no worries. Thanks for that. I wouldn't mind making a brand new series on the Maya stuff because I've learned so much using it in the last 12 months. But it's a YouTube killer. It kills it. Like the channel almost died because of those tutorials. Yeah, enhance. Yeah, belly jiggling. Maybe some other parts jiggling. Yeah, so there'll be some of that going on. So let's go ahead and add his eyes. Now I want him to have beady eyes. He's not meant to have big anime eyes, so I'm getting pretty small. So he's meant to, and they're just going to sit behind the mask. So odds are he'll probably just have whites for eyes if they do show up in the animation. Let's get it a bit wider as well. A little bit wider. Ah, there would be good actually. Somewhere around there is nice. Let's see if they don't want them bulging out either. That's a good position for them. Yeah, that works for me. Let's see how that looks over there. Yeah, that works for me. Yeah, I outside of work I use Blender all the time. I've been using Maya for professional work for the last year because of the contract I'm on. But yeah, I've learned a lot using that, and I'm definitely going to apply some of that back to using when I use Blender and my personal stuff as well. Even when it comes to like just because Maya is so I wouldn't say technical, but it's very rigid in many ways. So that rigidity comes to be a positive thing when you bring that knowledge back to Blender. No scars. I don't think he'll have any scars. He'll have tattoos though. I wouldn't mind him having tattoos, like yeah, gang tattoos or something like that. All right. All right. When I mirrored it, he looks a little odd, so I'm gonna go ahead and just move that a little bit closer together. I think that's a bit better, a little bit closer. All right, cool. Is there a film coming based on the character? Is he meant to be just a character? No, he's going to be featured in an animation. I'm hoping to at least make another animation which features this character. He's not a main character by any means, but he will be featured in it quite prominently. if luck flows my way. Is it possible for you to post your work jobs? Not at this time. Is there a still chance you might make a Substance Painter series in the future? I remember you mentioning a while ago. I would like to, but currently I'm not paying for it. It got too expensive. So I would love to do it in the future if I can afford to do it, put it that way. YouTube doesn't pay that much right now. All right. And it's also about whether or not the audience is there for it, because basically whenever I stray away from Blender, no one watches it. So there's also that. All right, cool. So let's work on the eyelid. Just get that in there and then just round this out. So I'm going to turn on Dine Topo for this. Things might chug a little bit, and I should probably save it as well as I do this. So first thing I want to do is, actually I might turn that off just temporarily and push back. I need to push back the inside of the eye so I can add the eyelid. I am tempted though to show how to do alternatives to Substance Painter inside of Blender, because things have changed so much since I've last done a texturing tutorial. There's a lot more robust plugins now, which is cool, that I've come to discover, and I'd love to explore those, probably as a way of circumventing the need for Substance Painter using Blender. I think the big thing about using Substance Painter is that if you plan on using baked textures, I would say if you're planning on doing just dynamic materials in Blender, then it might not even be worth using Substance Painter for a lot of things, because it's really robust to just have dynamic materials. And generally speaking, it doesn't seem to cost the render time that much either. Texturing is a pain in the ass in general, man. It's my least favorite part of any 3D process. I hate doing it, to be fair. Yeah, if I could afford it, I'd pay someone else to do it for me. And that, that's saying something, considering, like, it's a creative outlet. It's a much more creative part of the process, but I find it just so tedious. And I've been like that ever since I was a kid. I always enjoyed the sketching process of a character, but I never enjoyed the coloring process, even as a kid. Now, it looks pretty good for a quick little block out for the eye. All right, cool. So what I can do here, let's have a look. I can probably add white painting is a pain in the ass too. Hey, no glasses today. Well, it's like midnight, so I decided, like, I may as well show my face, and it's too late to be wearing sunnies. It's midnight, so I'll keep the glasses on the main videos though. All right, where's my pinch tool? Where the fuck? There it is. All right. There we go. Straighten those up. That looks nice. Actually, that's pretty good. I don't mind the position of the eyes there and the shape of that. No, I don't know that song. Unless if you can tell me the name of the band or the person singing it, then maybe I can remember it if it's a popular song. Okay, let's grab. Let's make that a little bit more prominent. I think that looks pretty good. Can't complain there. I think that looks pretty sick. All right. Now, normally I wouldn't bother with the lips if I'm going to cover it with a mask. He's literally going to be wearing a mask. like a filtration mask. So and he's never going to take it off. But given that we're doing this live, I may as well add a little bit of lip action. I have to look it up when I get the chance. All right. I think that looks pretty sick. Give that a little bit more depth here. Don't want to give it too much depth though. Don't want to end up having Botox lips. Might use a planar scrape just to where's the scrape tool? There it is. To really flatten that out. That's better. Oh, all good. I've had plenty of songs in the last few days stuck in my head, so I've been singing sea shanties to my daughter, so they are on repeat in my head lately. Okay, I think that will do for now. I could sort of just frame the lips if I wanted to with a little bit of a indent, because he's like, yeah, that looks all right. He's not meant to have fully bougie lips anyway. And what I want to do now is basically start on there. See if I can start on the hair or something like that. That's a pretty decent progress for an evening. You know, finishing the hands, refining the face, that sort of stuff. So that's looking pretty sweet. I should probably do the, actually I should probably do the nose. Let's do the nose before I move on to the hair. And again, another part that most likely won't show up in the final animation, but you know, in terms of building out the mask above it, around it at least, may as well get it in there. What role will this character play? He will play the role of a just a gunner, basically just a guy who is going to be a grunt and will succumb to a grisly death. That's his only purpose. And he'll basically be a thorn in the side of a person for a brief moment before something happens to him. But you know, I just want to make a really cool action sequence, and he will be involved in that. That's the idea of this guy. All right, cool. Not quite grizzly bears, but he still will have a grisly demise, put it that way. All right, cool. I think that'll be enough for this character. I think that's pretty good. I could add the little cleft in the top of the lip there as well if I want to. Can probably turn in topo on for that. May as well. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then just give it a little bit of the nose, a little bit more definition just at the bottom here. that looks cool. And I might just add a little bit of a crease. Yeah, so this one is going to take place in a desert. This actually will be a completely different sort of setting in the same world, but it's going to take place on a desert, in a desert environment. And yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be really fun to sort of bring to life and make it still work with the sort of stylized approach that I have in mind, but in a slightly different setting. Yeah, that's the name of the first one, the Fear. All right. That looks pretty sweet. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that now. Oh, doing that really helped to accentuate that fat, the fat in his around his body. All right, cool. Is he gonna work with that super skinny dude? Yeah, not work with, no, not quite work with, but more will be revealed. Deal with would be a good way to put it that way. To put it in context, dealing with would be a better way. All right, let's see what we can do now about the hair. So with the hair, I am going to try and sculpt it. So I don't really want to bother doing anything crazy like geometry nodes or that sort of thing for this character. I don't want to deal with it because I don't want to have to convert it to particles or anything like that. So unless I should, I'm not sure yet. But I can't do it now anyway because I got to do it with the sculpt. So we'll do a block out and then we'll probably call it quits there. We'll do a block out of with the sculpt in mind, and then we'll do any future instances where I want to animate the hair. I can think about how I'm going to approach it. So yeah, we'll take it in that regard. All right, cool. So how do you make a how do you make a mullet work with someone with no neck? We'll find out. We'll find out. I also noticed that his shoulders look a little bit flat there, so I might quickly give him a little bit more of a shape there, just to sort of keep it nice and round. So you really do have to take into account it from all angles, I guess you can say. And already you can tell, like, just by doing that, like just manipulating those shapes, how much it makes a big difference, like just in terms of just appeal. Yeah, he's basically a potato. That's the idea. I always wanted him to have this shape. Like the idea was that he would have this teardrop shape. Like always, like that's the idea. Like basic shapes to make these characters work. All right, cool. A little bit more there. Just pop those out a little bit. There we go. I think that works. Yep. That looks better. That looks better. Now the likelihood of you having a guy this big also be this ripped is pretty low. I gotta admit, like it's not a common thing to have happen to a person, but it is a cartoon, it is animated, so who cares? All right. Well, and his eyes got all fucked up because of what I did to his arms. Shit. This is why it's good to have masks, by the way. use masks because you don't want to affect the entire bloody model when you're doing these sort of manipulations. But I can live with it for today. All right, cool. I think that will be all right. There we go. Yep, cool. Looks a bit shifty now, a bit more shiftier. So let's not that he's not meant to look shifty. He's just, you need to have a relatively neutral posture in his face throughout the whole body to be able to animate it a little bit easier. All right. Probably shouldn't have done those edits, but that's okay. I'll live. How does he look now? Yeah, he looks fine. All right, cool. Now, for a new sculpt, we need a new piece of geometry, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I've been following your rigging tutorials, and it's amazing. Hopefully I won't break anything animating it. Oh, no worries, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I plan on making I wouldn't mind making a new rigging tutorial series. Although, I would say that I kind of feel like it might be a bit redundant to do it. I don't know, because there's another channel called CG Dive who is currently doing a really good rigging series from start to scrap, from the very basics to the more advanced. And I'm wondering whether or not it's worth me doing it. You know, when there's something just as good or better is already being made. So we'll see. Yeah, hair is always a nightmare. I need reference, actually. I need reference. All right. I don't want the modern version of a mullet. I want the 80s mullet. 80s mullet, not the new one. There we go. I found one now. Okay. Need Australian mullet. That's what we need. You gotta be really specific, because Australian mullets look way rattier than the American ones. In Australia, they look ratty, and if you look up Australian mullets, and you'll understand. They look proper ratty. So I want to get the ratty look with this guy. He's meant to be ratty. All right, that's really important. All right, cool. Yeah, not MacGyver. MacGyver's too good looking. has to look worse than that. All right. Let's get sculpting. And I'm definitely going to be using Dun Topper for this one. So let's just flatten out the top first, because an Australian mullet, there's not much on the top. It can be quite low. All right. You can be almost bald. All right. And still have a mullet in Australia. So let's work with that in mind. Oh, let's turn on mirroring, by the way. There we go. So we have him on the right side there. Let's turn on. We can turn on random as well over here. Okay, so it's meant to be really slow, close to the scalp here. All right, and then we're going to snake hook this. Where's our snake hook? Really pull it out. Pull. Yeah, that's even better. Let's just pull. We want to get the general volume there first. All right. All right, cool. I think that works as my general volume. Yeah, of course there's going to be one in Australia. There's always one in Australia. All right, cool. So let's see. We really want to get it pretty long down the sides with the the length, the back of the length. Yeah, he's already looking ready, man. Jesus Christ. With the length of this one. Already, it's already working. It's already working. Yeah, that's it. Got to get that real long, really long down the back here, just like that. There we go. I think that works. All right. Then it kind of bushes out. All right, it has to bush out. That's when you get the true mullet. All right, it has to bush out at the bottom. That's actually working out to be a pretty cool silhouette, to be fair. All right, let's get the pool brushes again and just bring down those sideburns a little bit. Now with a truly ratty mullet, you almost have no sideburns. All right, so you cut it short all the way up to the front, and you basically almost have a fade on the side if you really want to do it justice. So something like that. Let's just get this bit of hairline in there at least, though. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we can start thinking about how we make this look a little bit more like hair rather than just a volume. But first, let's just give a bit more volume over here. There we go. Great. That works for me. I think that works. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Yeah, if you did stop right there, he would look. The aristocrat wig would have to be nice and puffy though. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start with the ratty part in the front. So I might use the snake hook for this. Oh, I need to turn off mirroring for this one now. All right, let's decrease the strength of that snake hook too. There we go. Now, just mind you, this is meant to be a block out of sorts, so it can be kind of rough and around the edges here. All right. Already that's looking pretty good. Sharpen that up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, nice. I like that. All right, cool. I think that'll be good for now. Let's undo that one actually. And we're gonna I want to make sure that those details aren't too fiddly to work with, because I still need to refine it, of course. Now the snake hook's quite tricky to work with anyway at the best of times. But the one thing I do like about the snake hook is that you can sort of just push things really easily, even if you're not pulling, even if you're not meant to be pulling it, you can still get some nice detail like that going on. All right, cool. And on this side as well. Let's just push that and pull it. Yep, that looks pretty sweet. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I like that. Now the back is the hard part because it turns into a curl almost, or like ratty bits. All right. So yeah, you really want to keep it really thin on the side, on the back. Now on the back, on the front, on the back, sorry. This is where it really goes crazy. So you can really push it and go nuts if you really want to. So it really needs to be like full on. Like I might turn on top of mirroring again at least for this one, just to block out those crazy shapes. Oh, should I? No, that'll look a bit weird. So yeah, let's just go ahead and this is when if you use the strength of the snake hook too much, it starts to look a little bit really odd. So again, use sparingly. Now I'll probably, before I move on and make it even crazier, I'll probably start to work out like like just general shapes and fibers, like the direction of the way certain fibers are going. And I'll still, like, obviously I'm gonna have to rig it and all that sort of stuff as well, so it has to flow and look kind of okay at the same time. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. Yeah, I like that. That looks pretty sweet. All right, cool. What's the time? All right, it's been an hour, so it's already almost 12:30. So I think it's time to wrap things up. But yeah, it's been really fun doing this. It's really fun, like breaking it down and walking through and getting somewhere, making progress. It's nice to see. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. It's been really fun. Oh, I'm gonna make it more ratty than curly, mind you. Just a little bit more ratty, not super curly, just a bit ratty. So it'll look a bit more oily or greasy, I'm hoping. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there. It's been really fun. And of course, if you want me to do like critiques of your work, or you want to get some help on some work that you're doing, feel free to sign up to Patreon, and then that gives you Discord privileges to be able to share your work, or email it to me, of course. And then I'll be able to provide you feedback. So that's the perk, one of the perks of being on Discord and being part of Patreon, as low as $1. So you can do it for $1 and you know, get some cool feedback if you have work you want to share, of course. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. It's been really fun, and yeah,